Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of shorter-term technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, because over the last couple of days, we've been talking about how Bitcoin has been rallying up to and testing resistance on that level of support right there, and it turns out that Bitcoin managed to break it in a rather substantial way, because over the last 24 hours or so, guys, Bitcoin has rallied at its peak upwards of 25%. Bitcoin is, of course, only trading up around 15% right now, but, you know, only a 15% move on Bitcoin. That's nothing to discuss. I guess we should just wrap it up and go home. But no, of course, I'm kidding, because Bitcoin is currently trading around $4,800, guys. Bitcoin breached $5,000 for the first time in over 4 months, ever since Bitcoin fell back below $4,000 and $5,000 back over here in November of 2018. This is a major move for Bitcoin, one that we have been talking about and discussing, saying in the last couple of videos that Bitcoin seemed to have been building some tension, and that if Bitcoin was able to break this specific uptrend of resistance right here, go back to yesterday's video, we were talking about this. If Bitcoin was able to break that, we may see a major move. And that's exactly what we've seen, guys. Bitcoin has breached and broken straight through all of our resistance here in between $4,100 and $4,500 and rallied all the way up to where it currently trades around $4,800. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing this move and discussing the claims that this is the start of a new bull market and trying to get to the bottom of what this actually means for Bitcoin, because this is a very major move, not just percentage-wise, but also considering the levels of resistance that it has broken. We're going to be discussing all of that and more in today's video, guys. So if you enjoyed today's video, definitely consider dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, and going back and watching the April Fool's video we did yesterday. I want to go ahead and put at the beginning of the video, if you managed to watch to the end of that video and didn't realize that was an April Fool's video, my voice is fine. I'm not going anywhere. I got a lot of you, though. I thought that was pretty funny. Anyway, guys, without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Bitcoin is trading at exactly $4,800 at the time of recording this video, although it may be a little bit higher or a little bit lower when you're watching this, of course, because Bitcoin has been rallying very substantially. We broke bullish, and in fact, in this little flag that Bitcoin's been forming over the last 12 hours or so, Bitcoin has been trending to the upside, indicating that there may actually be more movement to come from this. If we look down here on, let's go to the 15-minute chart, we can see that Bitcoin initially rallied in a very, very strong way. In the span of about an hour, it rallied 25%. Guys, that is by far, in a way, the largest move, the quickest move that has happened to Bitcoin all year. There is no comparison. That is the quickest, fastest, biggest move that Bitcoin has made all year. There are some people saying that that's the biggest, quickest, fastest move that has happened to Bitcoin in a year, which is, of course, different. But Bitcoin has been trading sideways here ever since that move last night. And, of course, we are now moving to the upside a little bit more. Bitcoin's rallying just a little bit. We're up about $5 since we started recording this video. But, of course, you would expect some movement like that, considering that Bitcoin is rather bullish at the moment after that breakout. Now, if we go back here in time a little bit, what we're going to see is that Bitcoin was trading below this uptrending level of resistance. We're going to have to adjust the chart so we can actually see it, because Bitcoin wants to take up the whole chart. But as we can see, Bitcoin was coming up here and testing this level of resistance over and over and over again. It was testing it quite a bit, and that was the topic of yesterday's video. And I was talking about, guys, how I was getting a lot more bullish on Bitcoin because of the fact that Bitcoin had rallied all the way up there, and that if Bitcoin breaks that level of resistance, I'm going to be very bullish on Bitcoin. And it turns out that Bitcoin broke that level of resistance in a rather substantial way. Let's see how far we have to go. Oh yeah, that's a big movement right there. Bitcoin's moved quite substantially over the last 24 hours. But anyway, guys, the main point of today's video I want to make is what Bitcoin has actually done here in regards to the levels of resistance that it has broken. Because like I said earlier, this is a major move, not just because it is a major move. It's a major move because of the levels of resistance that it's broken. If we go out to the daily chart, I want to show you guys what is going on here on the last couple, what has gone on here over the last couple of years in Bitcoin. Because whenever Bitcoin was back over here in during 2015 and in its accumulation phase after the 2014 bear market and entering the 2015 accumulation phase, this time period right here, the A phase, when Bitcoin was in this phase, there were a couple of different markers that we could look at, a couple of different technical indicators, and a couple different warning signs that a Bitcoin bull market was coming back in this time. And a couple of those signs are very, very obvious, actually. One of them has to do with the 200 daily moving average. That moving average right here is a very, very important moving average. And after Bitcoin was able to get above it, and we did break it once and then fell back below it, but once Bitcoin substantially got above it and didn't come back below it, that was the beginning of the bull market. The Bitcoin bull market, the 2016, oh, excuse me, gosh, burp attack. The 2016-17 Bitcoin bull market started in October of 2015. It started right here in this time period after it broke several major resistance resistance levels, many of those being moving averages. One of them is the 200 weekly, or the 200 daily. Keep that in mind because we need to look at a couple more of them, then we'll come back out. The next one that I want to show you has, of course, to do with the 20 weekly exponential moving average. We're a little too far back. We gotta go all the way over here. The 20 weekly exponential moving average is a very important moving average that I've discussed at length on the channel. I'm not going to go into too much more detail, but like the 200 weekly, or the 200 daily, excuse me, Bitcoin did come up here and break it once and then fall back below it. But after Bitcoin broke it and stayed above it, Bitcoin would never go back below that level for the entirety of the 2016-17 Bitcoin bull market. Bitcoin stayed above that level for the entire time. And that's a very important thing to understand, is that this is one of those canary in the coal mine situations where when you see Bitcoin interact with these two moving averages in a certain way, you're normally getting a certain signal. And that certain signal is normally the beginning or the conclusion of a Bitcoin bull market. And guys, we're nowhere near the conclusion of a Bitcoin bull market because one hasn't even started yet. But we are coming towards the beginning of a new one. And these moving averages are a very, very good way to determine when a Bitcoin bull market is starting. Both of them happen to cross, both of them happen to have Bitcoin cross them right as Bitcoin was just starting its first bullish move up here in the 2015 accumulation phase and was about to start the bull market. So with all of that in mind, let's go ahead and look at what Bitcoin is doing in relation to these moving averages now. Well, that's interesting. Bitcoin has just broken the 200 daily moving average for the first time in a very long time, over a year. The last time Bitcoin was above the 200 daily moving average was in March of 2018. And guys, this is no April Fool's joke. Bitcoin is actually trading above this level for the first time in a year. And as you guys know, because I've just shown you on the chart, the last time Bitcoin broke bullish above this moving average, the last time that Bitcoin did that was the beginning of the last bull market. There's one time before that and it was a fake out, but the last time that Bitcoin has broken above this level, this moving average, Bitcoin started a bull market. Now you may mention that this period right over here, I don't count this because this is Bitcoin just having its last, just breathing the last breath of a bull market. But other than this, because this was obviously not the start of a bull market, other than that, the last time Bitcoin got above the 200 daily moving average, it started a bull market. And Bitcoin has just done that. And by the way, that's not the only technical indicator we're looking at here. The 20 weekly exponential moving average has also been broken, and has been broken in a very major way, guys. Look at that. Bitcoin is far above the 20 exponential moving average. Likewise, for the first real major time since 2015. Bitcoin did break these levels a couple times over here, and maybe this is what we're seeing right now. We're seeing the end of a bullish rally here. But if we're seeing the end of a bullish rally, why did we just rally 25% in the span of a day? That doesn't really seem to be what would happen at the end of a rally. That seems to be what would happen in the middle of a rally, or perhaps even in the beginning of some kind of major rally that may result in a bull market. We'll keep discussing that. But as you can see here, guys, the 20 weekly exponential moving average is only broken. It's broken a couple of times back over here in 2018, but those were at the end of rallies, and I don't think we're necessarily at the end of a rally right now. And the last time other than that, Bitcoin had just started the Bitcoin bull market. And guys, this is very important information. It's very important to look back on the technicals from previous bull markets and look back on previous price history so that we can understand how the market interacted with moving averages and technical indicators and technical analysis way back in the day, so that we can then extrapolate out what's going to happen in the future. And guys, this is a very major development. This is honestly the biggest development that has happened all year. Now that might sound hyperbolic, but think about it. What has happened in all of 2019 so far that is a bigger deal than a 25% bullish move in Bitcoin, where Bitcoin breaks two major resistance moving averages that constitute and predict the start of a Bitcoin bull market? Tell me that. Tell me in the comment section down below. What has happened in the last 4 months? Heck, what's happened in the last 6 months that is more major than that? Tell me. I want to know. What is it? Because this is very important. This is a very big deal. Now, while Bitcoin doesn't necessarily enter a bull market from here, it doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin has just started a bull market. We are getting a lot of signals that Bitcoin has. One of them being, of course, that Bitcoin has just broken through every major resistance level that was above it in one felt swoop. In the span of an hour, Bitcoin just crashed through and just it turned into Sonic and blew through all the levels of resistance. Bitcoin just blew straight through them. There's a big zone of resistance here between $4,100 and $4,500, guys. Bitcoin had been trading around that level and getting resistance on that level a lot. Bitcoin had been trading and trying to get through that level for a very long time and hadn't been able, but now Bitcoin had all of that tension built up and broke through. And guys, if you go back to yesterday's video and watch it, what you're going to find me talking about is how whenever you come up to a level of resistance and you start testing it, and you test it over and over and over again, we come up here and we test it, and we test it, and we test it, and we test it. When Bitcoin doesn't get through that level of resistance, it's telling you one of two things. Or it's mainly just telling you one thing, actually. It's telling you to watch out for whenever Bitcoin does break through that level of resistance, because after you break through this level of resistance, you're going to have a moment of clairvoyance, as I call it. When you see Bitcoin or any other market break a level of resistance or a level of support, what you're normally going to see is for a couple of candlesticks there, you're going to see a moment of clairvoyance. And what I mean by that is you're going to see just how bullish or just how bearish the market actually is. As I talked about in yesterday's video, go back and watch that video because I've been talking about this kind of thing happening for a couple days now. If Bitcoin were to break bullish here and Bitcoin only rallied $50 and then fell over, obviously Bitcoin didn't have a whole lot of bullish tension in it and we're probably moving to the downside. That's what I said in yesterday's video. But if on the other hand, Bitcoin breaks bullish and rallies up to $5,000, I think that was the number I used actually, and I didn't expect Bitcoin to rally that far, but it seems that it has. If Bitcoin goes ahead and breaks a level of resistance and rallies to $5,000, rallies like $700 on a breakout, 25%, then you have that moment of clairvoyance and you know exactly how bullish or bearish the market is. And that is the amazing thing about breakouts, is that they give you that moment to understand just how bullish the market is. And guys, Bitcoin has not been this bullish in a very long time. I would have to go back and look at the chart. I don't know off the top of my head the last time Bitcoin rallied 25% in a day. It was probably sometime during the summer of 2018. And that's a very, very good sign, guys. I can't tell you just how important this is for Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and discuss, to wrap the video up, whether or not this is the beginning of a bull market, because I know there's going to be a lot of people discussing that. I know I've seen a lot of people talking about that in the news for one, and also on Twitter and whatnot. A lot of people are discussing this being the beginning of a new bull market, and it's not crazy to say that. Bitcoin was also below this downtrend level of resistance right here, which has been a very major level of resistance. This has plagued Bitcoin for a year. That's not something to write off so simply. Bitcoin's above it also. Bitcoin has broken through a ton of resistance levels. It's just shrugged off all the resistance that it had above it, and we're going to have to reestablish some new market structure to find new resistance because we've destroyed all of it. But a lot of people are saying this is the beginning of a bull market, and I want to discuss that here to wrap the video up because I want to tell you guys a couple of things. One thing is that if you were thinking about buying into Bitcoin, the time to buy into Bitcoin is not now. Now is not the time to be buying into Bitcoin. Now is not the time to be buying into Bitcoin. Bitcoin's just rallied 25%, and even though Bitcoin's very bullish, even though Bitcoin just broke all of those resistance levels, even though we are getting bull market warnings, we are getting bull market signs, even though all of that is true, it's still Bitcoin. It's still a market. And what do we know? Markets are cyclical. When markets go up, they come down. When markets go down, they come up. Markets move up and they move down. And Bitcoin has just moved a very long way to the upside. And if you buy in now, even though there are very bullish signs for Bitcoin, that Bitcoin may be moving to the upside, you are taking a major gamble. You are gambling that Bitcoin is not going to fall over just as quickly as it rallied. Because guys, what you have to realize is that one of the reasons Bitcoin broke through and rallied this quickly was because there wasn't a ton of resistance in this zone. There wasn't much to actually slow down Bitcoin. There weren't a whole lot of previous levels of resistance. $4,500 was a big one, but clearly we were strong enough to break through it. But because there's so few levels of resistance, that also means there's very few levels of support, and Bitcoin can fall back over just as quickly as it went up. Bitcoin can come down 25% in the span of an hour. Bitcoin can do that. So if you're thinking about buying into the market right now, I would tell you to be careful. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I can tell you to be careful because Bitcoin can fall over just as quickly as it can rally. I don't necessarily think that's what's going to happen, but I do want you guys to be careful because what I see a lot of people do is that after a major rally like this, they FOMO in, and of course we haven't seen a lot of this since the bull market, but during the bull market especially, people would see a gigantic rally. Bitcoin would rally 40% in the span of 15 minutes or something stupid, and people would say, oh my gosh, I gotta get in on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to the moon. Bitcoin's gonna go to 100 grand in the next 2 seconds. Bitcoin is going to blow up, and I'm gonna miss the train. And then they go in and they buy Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin corrects and crashes because Bitcoin is a market, and they tend to do that, and they very much regret buying into the market at that time. So guys, the time to buy into Bitcoin was not in the last couple of hours. The time to buy into Bitcoin was actually yesterday when I was discussing the potential of a Bitcoin breakout. The time to buy into Bitcoin was when Bitcoin was up here testing this level of resistance. And I think I mentioned that in yesterday's video. I talked about how you could be buying into the market right now in anticipation, but also make sure you have a stop loss to protect yourself in case Bitcoin was to fall over instead. This was the time to be buying into Bitcoin. That was a good time to be buying into Bitcoin. Another good time to be buying into Bitcoin was right down here when it was bouncing off of levels of support. Because guys, what you have to understand with trading and investing is you have to be able to predict what the market is going to do before it does it and then be ready for the market when it does it so that you can then profit. If you were to buy into Bitcoin back over here when Bitcoin was down here around these levels of support, and then sell way up here, you'd be up like 25%. You would have made a good profit. But now if you go and buy into Bitcoin, what upside is there? Do you think Bitcoin's going to rally another 25% in the next 24 hours? Maybe. It's not impossible. Bitcoin has just broken some very major levels of resistance, but you want to be careful. Because even though Bitcoin is just rallying in a major way here, guys, it doesn't mean that a Bitcoin bull market has started. And that's what I want to talk about in today's video. I think a Bitcoin bull market is coming, especially with this move. I think it's coming sooner rather than later. I think it's coming very soon, actually. But you also have to remember, this is 1 day worth of price action. And 1 day worth of price action can be erased in the span of 1 day. It's happened before. Bitcoin has rallied in a huge, humongous, major way. It's done it time and time again. And then just a couple days later has fallen off a cliff. Let me show you an example of that just to give you a warning. Bitcoin was rallying all the way from $6,000 all the way up to $8,600 back over here. It was about a 40% rally, if I remember correctly. Bitcoin, 40%, there you go. Well, check out my memory. Bitcoin rallied 40% here. Rallied a very strong way. Bitcoin was breaking out of a level of resistance and rallied 13% here. Bitcoin was rallying in a very, very powerful way back over here. A lot of people were talking about a Bitcoin bull market starting and Bitcoin breaking a lot of these levels of resistance that it didn't break back then, but has just broken. And people were thinking, okay, well, a Bitcoin bull market's about to start. I'll buy a ton of Bitcoin up here. And then a couple of weeks later, Bitcoin did that and fell off the metaphorical cliff, and then the Bitcoin ETF got delayed. And a lot of things happened. They were bearish on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin started crashing. And that's what tends to happen because markets are cyclical, guys. I do think that there's a bull market coming, but you want to be careful in situations like this about buying into the market after the rally has happened. The time to buy into the market was 48 hours ago. The time to buy into the market is not now. But guys, that is up to you if you want to buy into this market. If you want to buy into this market and hope that some kind of rally happens, I'll tell you what you want to do here. I'm not going to tell you how to trade, but I will tell you how to protect yourself. I can do that, guys. Of course, I have to protect myself legally because I don't want to get sued if someone makes a bad mistake. If someone makes a mistake and then wants to blame me for their trade, unfortunately, that's the way the world works. But if you do want to trade this market and buy into this market, what you can do is you can put a very conservative stop loss somewhere around $4,700. Then if Bitcoin starts crashing again, then and it starts Bart Simpsoning down, then you'll be able to catch yourself, and then you have that position for the long position, or you can have a short position with a close up just above in case Bitcoin starts rallying, and then maybe an open position for a long just to catch yourself if Bitcoin starts rallying. There's a lot of different ways you can trade this market, guys, but one of the most important things to trading in markets is knowing what the market is going to do before it does it. And guys, that's why I talk about all these, that's why I do all these videos, and I teach you guys about technical analysis while also doing the technical analysis, because it's very important for you guys to be able to go out on your own and do technical analysis on the markets and understand what is going on the markets on your own. I love that you guys watch these videos, and it's always a good idea to get insight from other people. I watch other YouTubers. Just because I make YouTube videos doesn't mean I don't watch other YouTubers. I watch other YouTubers. I listen to other technical analysts. It's a very good thing to do, but it is also very important that you know how to do your own technical analysis in case you disagree with one of us, which does happen, and it happens for good reason. In case that happens, you want to know how to do your own technical analysis, which is why I made the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, so that you guys can learn how to do technical analysis on these markets on your own, and then go out and apply what you've learned, and learn how to predict these kind of moves, and get ready for these kind of moves, and trade these kind of moves, and make money in this kind of market. And guys, that is why I made the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, and there is a link to check out what we have to offer in the description down below. As I've said before, there have been hundreds of people that have gone through the course, and I'm constantly getting emails and comments and Discord messages from them telling me how much they enjoy the content, and they ask me questions like, hey Jeb, can you clarify this? Or hey Jeb, I really enjoyed what you talked about in this video. Could you elaborate for me a little bit? And I'm always happy to oblige, because my students are, I mean, they help to fund the channel, and also I love teaching, guys. That's why I made this channel, and that's also why I made the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. If you want to check it out, there's a link to do so in the description down below. I promise you that the $149 that the course runs for, if you implement the strategies that are in there, and if you implement the knowledge that's in that, you can make that money back so quickly. If you were to take one lesson that I learned from that course that helped you make one trade on this movement right here, you use what you learned in the course to make a trade with $1,000 on this movement right here, and you made 15%, boom, you already made the money back. If you're trading with less than $1,000 and you trade a couple of those trades, you're going to make that money back very quickly, because as I've always said, guys, the best investment you can make is one in yourself, not in any cryptocurrency. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, definitely consider dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, and smashing that notification bell, guys. And if you haven't seen the April Fool's video I recorded yesterday, Go back and watch that. I'm very, very happy with that. I got a lot of you guys in the comment section down below. I was trolling you guys, and so many of you fell for it, and I am absolutely in love with that. That was so funny. I really enjoyed making that video. I have no idea how I didn't burst out laughing recording that. If you haven't seen that video, go back and watch it. It was really funny. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.